You've got a room full of 400 of Europe's leading business figures and opinion formers. If you were to urge each and every one of us to do one thing differently today or tomorrow, given what you've just said and what we've just listened to, what would it be?
Well, I think I've already addressed this in a small way by sitting here today and telling you about this. I'm so sorry, clumsy klutz. It was interesting to me that only 3 hands went up. I mean, I'm still kind of shocked by that. And I think it is shocking, because this is something to do with fundamental human rights. And is it the fact that if you're poor, an African, and a woman, that you don't count for anything? That's the feeling that I have. And so I know that HIV and AIDS leads us on down to something much deeper. It is actually far more about human rights, women's rights, and then we go on to the other issues of systems of healthcare, systems of, or the lack of education, the lack of nutrition. We're looking at systems that fail the people dreadfully. And I'm very interested in the possibility of the future, because I actually feel very often that politicians have failed dismally. I don't believe that aid is the solution. I believe it's a band-aid. There has to be something that really is sustainable and system-changing. And that can only come, in my view, because I'm not an expert, but it can only really come with the engagement of the people who understand and are passionate about these things. People like yourselves, people who can move and shake the world, leaders, visionaries. But it's about standards, and it's about moral imperatives. And I have to say that if corporations put profits always be, and I know you have to, I understand this, but if you don't inculcate social, moral responsibility within your systems, if you don't look around the further challenges of the countries that you are going to be dealing with, in any case, what are you as human beings? What are we as human beings? We are so resourced. When I came back from my first few trips to Uganda and to parts of southern Africa, and I arrived at the airport, I looked around and I was like, we're so resourced. I'm so resourced. I've just seen women walking for miles, carrying water on their heads, probably infected water, not very clean. I've just seen children having to do the same thing. I've just seen people scraping a living, hoping that this year the harvest is going to come through. And I come back and I turn the water on in my tap, hot and cold. I flush the toilet, and it's all fabulous. And I personally live a fabulously comfortable existence. But I feel strange about having that life of mine if I don't engage with the bigger issues that are global.
I think I've got 2 things out of this, and I'm sure many people here have got many more, but 2 specific things that, as we think beyond ourselves today, there is light at the end of the tunnel so far as pediatric HIV is concerned. I mean, it's a big goal, 2015. Is it achievable?
Yes, absolutely it's achievable. Think back to the when did the Berlin Wall come down?
89.
I mean, just think about that. I mean, for most of us that grew up with that Berlin Wall, it's never going to happen. It was such a shock. You know, apartheid. This is the real symbolic metaphor for me. Because, you know, I was invited by Nelson Mandela himself. He's one of the most inspirational, most significant change makers in the whole of our Western history. And I go to South Africa, and what do I see? A kind of indifference, to be frank with you. And it was heartbreaking. And I still see that indifference. And it's, what do you do to make the change? You see, I believe every one of us, not just the people in this room, but outside and beyond, every one of us has the potential to be an agent for change. If you believe it, you can do it. And that is actually the terminology that we're using at UNAIDS. Believe it, do it. I'll just show you the brochure that I'd love, if anyone really is interested in this. This is the global plan. This is it from UNAIDS. And it's all very easy to understand. You can all pick up a copy. and read that and see what their plans are. Now, it might be that you disagree with it and you don't think it's right. In that case, help them. Help them to put something into place that will work. We cannot turn our back on this.
So there is a light at the end of the tunnel, you say, and a response to AIDS is a smart investment. I think that's also the message out of UNAIDS today as well. Annie, gender inequality has been at the heart of your narrative. Now you promote equality and the empowerment of women, reintroducing the word feminism, as it were, into our zeitgeist.
Absolutely.
Nikesh opened this gathering here today, reminding us that there are more women on the stage this year than ever before, more women in the audience than ever before, and more women working backstage than ever before in production, catering and everything else. It's a new world. He called this the women's zeitgeist. Just for a moment, I want to get a sense from you as to whether you really think there is a sea change in attitude.
Well, it's coming, and it will come. And it was very interesting. I read a quote from one of the performers, Anthony, from Anthony the Johnsons, and it was beautiful in The Guardian the other day, and he said, we need to see an estrogen-charged change in our globe. We've had testosterone, now we need estrogen. Now, but it's fabulous, actually. But let me say what I'd like to say about this word, feminism. Yeah. The perception of the word is outmoded and outdated, and it's not functioning terribly well. Feminists can be, should be, and must be men. There should not be this battle. There should be dialogue. That's what needs to happen. There should be dialogue, listening, and understanding. Feminism is just about the empowerment of women who do not have power. And feminism needs to move into the developing countries. That is where we need to see women inherited. I come from a working class background. Without feminism and the suffragette movement before me, I wouldn't have had the education that I had. I wouldn't have had any of the things that I've inherited. But it didn't fall off the trees. It required a measure of sacrifice. It required a measure of commitment, determination. And now we're at a place where we have the opportunity to reinvent the perception of the word, especially with the young and upcoming generation. And while I'm on the subject about the young and upcoming generation, you wonderful three, and if you don't mind, to me, you're very young people. How great is that? How great is it that you have invited them here, that they are able to address you directly? This is so important. We cannot just be the old people. We haven't really... I wonder if, how well we've done. You are inheriting us now. You're inheriting something from us. And all strength to you. I think you're looking at three potential leaders of the future there. And that's what we must be thinking about, the future.
And all strength to you, Annie Lennox. We're going to have to wrap it up there. We thank you very much indeed for joining us here at Google Zeitgeist today. Annie Lennox.